Hey everyone, happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialists, where we talk about what we've accomplished today in our little VW restoration shop here. So let me start with this beautiful 63 mouse gray bus here, because yesterday I didn't have Rafa's list and I managed to get almost everything. A couple small things though that he did yesterday, which I didn't mention, is one is connect those corrugated heater hoses between the heater boxes and those sort of baffle looking things up underneath there. Again, small things, but this bus is like that close to being done. We still haven't put on the trim on the bumpers yet because what we need to do, and we'll probably do this like Monday, we need to move the bus out of this corner here. I mean, we need to do that anyway so we can, start it up, drive it, etc. But we don't like to put on the trim on the bumpers until we have the bus where we can like really stand back and look at it and have somebody kind of eyeball and make sure that they're truly level. Because when you're in a crowded area like this, you can think they're level, but then once you get the bus kind of out in the open where you're able to stand back and look, they're just like off. And then the front, I mean, yeah, there's no way you'd be able to get these level in this amount of space. Plus there's no room to really work up here. But anyway, so yeah, we need to get this thing out of this corner for a multitude of reasons, one of which will be to put the trim on the bumpers and then to start it up and take it for its maiden voyage. So I don't see any reason that won't be happening next week when Rafa is back. So today is what we like to call Rafa Friday, since he works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, him and I'll probably shuffle some cars around Monday, get this thing out, do the bumper trim, maybe take it for its maiden voyage. But anyway, back to yesterday. Yeah, he added the mufflers, or excuse me, the pipes in, tubes, whatever you want to call them. Then the other thing he did, which, let's see, this is latched right now. I should have planned ahead and opened this so I could show you. But the other thing he did is add the deck lid seal. And I'll let you guys in on a secret on these. The seals for these that Wolfsburg West sells, to us at least, are literally unusable. They're so stiff that it's like impossible to close the deck lid. So a little trick for any of you guys that are building a bus: buy a made in Brazil Beetle door seal. So you want to get the Brazilian ones, not the German ones, because again, the Brazilian ones are much more compliant. And then pretty much you just take that seal and you slice it and dice it and glue the ends together and make a deck lid seal, and they work amazing. Because yeah, it's not that we haven't tried, and trust me, we're pretty good at getting things to work, but those deck lid seals that Wolfsburg West, and as far as I know others sell, they're just way too stiff, too fat. Anyway, so there you go. There's a freebie for you guys. If you're doing a bus and you need a deck lid seal, buy a Beetle seal, door seal made in Brazil, chop it up, boom, done. So anyway, yeah, I think those were the only things I missed on this on yesterday's episode. So just wanted to get those out of the way. So this work of art here, which again, for anyone who may be new, this is the 1500cc 36 horse for this 54 Barndoor. So Rafa finished making the tube and support and stuff for the manual choke. So again, this is running SU carburetors. This is a Monaro Motors old school performance dual carburetor system. Monaro Motors from Australia, which is, by the way, where this bus is from, originally sold in Australia. It's a right-hand drive. But anyway, yeah, this tube here, Rafa made that, and you can kind of see the support bracket there. It's sandwiched between the shroud and the generator, or excuse me, the coil clamp here. And yeah, kind of hard to see. But yeah, the tube comes from the back of the motor, so the choke cable, of course, comes from the front of the car. You're gonna have to make like a gentle bend here, and then up into here and down here, and then eventually then it will pull on this, which of course actuates the chokes. And I might have mentioned before, The chokes are really important on these carburetors, similar to like a 26 carburetor off a split window Beetle. Those early carburetors and these SUs have no accelerator pump. So good luck getting it started without a choke, because you can't just, pump the gas and get a few squirts of gas and fire it up. These don't have accelerator pumps. So pretty much you have to use the choke. And what that does is the choke actually like changes the jetting. You can see that needle being pulled down. And it also puts the linkage on, like, you see that moving there? Puts the linkage on like a high idle. So that's pretty much how you start a motor with these old school SU carburetors with no accelerator pumps. You pretty much got to use the choke if you want to get it started. So there you go. Anyway, so yeah, this bracket, tube, housing, conduit, whatever you want to call this, finished up making that today and painted it, obviously. So we decided on that one. We've got a lot going on with this motor. There's just a lot of brass and copper here between the linkage and the manifolds and everything for the carburetors. And then again, we went ahead and did hard lines for the filter here and the fuel lines there. So we decided that this thing here, this tube for the choke, should just be black and kind of like not really sort of be as prominent as some of these other things, because the motor it's getting pretty busy. And we felt like one more, like copper or shiny thing or something here, it would have just kind of put it a little bit over the top. So went ahead and did it in flat black, where you really don't even sort of notice it, because again, just a lot going on here already. One more thing, in our opinion, would have kind of pushed it over the edge a little bit as far as being too busy. So we're super happy with how it looks now. And that's actually the last major thing on this motor. I do need to try and hunt down a slightly shorter belt for it. Not a big deal. And then I think, guys, that we're probably about ready to fire this thing up and do its cam break in and shake down, initial start and run and stuff here on the bench. And hope that all goes well. So I don't know, maybe in the next week or so, we're going to fire this little mini beast up, and should be interesting. So we'll see. There's a lot going on here, so we shall see. But anyway, yeah, Rafa primarily finished that up today. And then he did also put in the other pop-out window here. So again, remember, we managed to find really nice reproductions of correct Barndoor pop-out latches. So yeah, he assembled the second window here and got that all in. So that was pretty much his day. So our upholstery guy, Mr. Santiago, he this door is doing its trick again. Let me go around the other side. I don't know why that door gets hard to open for some reason. I need to figure that out. Yeah, so yesterday he had finished the carpet in here, and then today he finished making the boot there for the Berg shifter. He had finished this one for the e-brake off yesterday. But yeah, I finished this one off today. Looks amazing. And yeah, it's basically Velcroed to the floor here. Velcroed to the floor so that if myself or the owner or whoever goes to make adjustments here or there or whatever, you can just pretty much lift that up, detach the Velcro, and you're good to go. But yeah, he finished that today, and I think he actually also started doing a little preliminary work on the headliner for the, what we like to call the tennis ball, the super bright yellow 74 Beetle. So yeah, we're keeping him good and busy. Let's see. So I worked on this one a little bit today. So you guys know that safety is a big thing for us, and part of the safety of these cars, any car for that matter, is having a horn that works, because sometimes you got to honk your horn. Hopefully don't do it too much and, get somebody to road rage on you. But sometimes you can avoid an accident, getting hit, for example, by honking your horn. Anyway, you guys know. So yeah, having a horn is a good idea. The horn on this car did not work when it came in. And Volkswagen horn wiring, they can be a little finicky. And sometimes they're a little tricky to get to work. So pretty much got the front end of this car up in the air, pulled this wheel off, and started basically like tracing out the whole horn circuit. And what I found out was that the horn wire that runs through the steering column shaft on the steering coupler side, they had the little lug where the wire plugs into, the little spade lug. They had it on the wrong bolt. And so it wasn't getting ground from the steering box because the lug was on one of the bolts that only goes through this way, through the rubber steering coupler, and not not one of the bolts that goes into the actual steering box. So there was no way for that wire to see ground, because essentially it was only grounded to something that was rubber. So once I figured that out, then I moved that over to the proper bolt and got that ground working there. And then on these kind of later ones like this, there's another wire that connects to the steering column tube itself. So the actual hollow tube that the steering shaft runs through, it connects on that up kind of under the gas tank. And that connection, it would seem like it was original, and the spade connection, both male and female, were just very like dull and kind of corroded looking, like they weren't going to be making very good contact. So I scraped the male spade on the steering column, and then I put a brand new female spade on the end of the wire and got a better connection there. And so yeah, the horn works really good now. And yeah, he did have the horn button for it. It's missing its like center or whatever, but at least now it's not going to work because it's key on only. But yeah, it works. So yeah, good to have a horn on this one. Again, that was kind of on my to-do list. We do consider horns kind of a safety thing, so we try and send every car out of here with a working horn if possible. This one, I don't know. This one may be a challenge. The horn wiring on this thing looks like a complete disaster. I'm going to see what I can do. Haven't got to it yet, but yeah, this one's got a horn now, so good for it. So this one, Mr. Jacob worked on this one quite a bit today, and I did too. We kind of tag teamed it some. The major thing we did here is we went ahead and dropped the front beam out. And so typically what we do with these is we pretty much leave them assembled like you see here. And we take it and have it degreased and sandblasted pretty much as a unit like this. And then after that, then we go ahead and like start pulling it apart. And of course, there's going to be some areas that don't really get sandblasted, like where this arm is sitting on this little bump stop here. Not a big deal. Once we pull it apart, then we can either wire wheel or whatever we need to get those areas that the sand blasting wasn't able to get. But at least that way we start with something that overall it's very clean, and then we go ahead and disassemble it. So the arms, we'll powder coat those. The beam itself, we'll use automotive paint and automotive clear on it. And the spindles, I don't know if we'll paint or powder coat those. Either way, I'll take the arms at some point over to Brian Roth at Roth Vintage and have him put in new ball joints. And yeah, of course, we'll reassemble it with new seals and stuff like that. So yeah, this will be pretty much all brand new. We'll check the center pin there and see how it feels as far as any play that it may have in it. Be easier to replace that with it off the car. But yeah, so we're going to start cleaning, rebuilding this. And then this is our other pile of stuff here, which is pretty much about all ready to go over to powder coating. So go ahead and get all this stuff powder coated, and then it can go back on. I did also, a little later this evening here, I went ahead and pulled his steering box. There's the steering box here somewhere. There it is.
So yeah, went ahead and pulled the steering box. We'll clean it all up. We'll kind of check it for play and stuff, etc. See if we need to have it rebuilt. I don't know. Somebody was telling me they didn't think that anyone rebuilt bay window steering boxes. I need to look into that. I have not had one done. But yeah, I need to see if this one needs it. It felt like it might have had some slop in it. So if these are not rebuildable, and again, if anyone knows if these are rebuildable or not, please let me know in the comments. But either way, yeah, we'll get it cleaned up and either replace it or rebuild it as needed. Something that I thought was kind of amusing was the pitman arm on here, which is held on by this very large castle nut. Had for a cotter pin, it had a nail, which, I mean, I guess it worked, but it's just kind of funny to see some of the things people do to these poor cars. I guess if you don't have a cotter pin but you've got nails, then you use a nail. And, you know, it worked. I don't think it would have ever failed, but it's just kind of funny when you find stuff like that. I always get a good laugh out of it. Jacob's actually the first one that noticed that, and he was so pleased with it that he took a picture of it and showed it to me. So we got a good laugh out of it.
But yeah, so this one now is pretty much completely, like, everything that's coming off this bus is pretty much off, and we'll get it all going as far as cleaning, powder coating, etc., and then start putting her back together. I did get the dash back from Ed over at OC Westy, and he did a great job of refreshing it. He's got some high quality vinyl paint that he paints them with, and I think he might have fixed a couple very small cracks in it. So yeah, dash looks brand new now. And then likewise, he did the glove box door and the pod and everything. So all these are done in the same vinyl paint, so obviously they match. So yeah, another piece of the puzzle. So this can go in pretty soon, and I can get back to the wiring here and assembling like the vent system and stuff like that. This one got a small bit of love today. We finally adjusted its timing after having put its new distributor in early this week or last week, whenever that was. So yeah, timing's all set now. We need to take this thing for a drive. Okay, guys, well, that was a bit of a long one today, but we got a lot going on here. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention our paint and body guy, Rene. He is continuing to work on the doors for the rusty 68 Ghia. So he's well into the second door now. First door is about done. And he also painted a couple things for me. So Ben, if you're watching, here's your manifolds. And somewhere there, the crossbar. So those obviously are for this car over here. But yeah, so he painted those for me today. So yeah, the whole team's staying very busy, which is a good thing. So that is it for today, guys. It was probably one of the longest videos yet, but we got lots going on in the shop here. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.